Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. The Israelites have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, as prophesied in Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. Here in Israel United in Christ, we need your help to recover the remnant of our people, teach them the gospel. Please help us, support us, and join or donate to the Booster Club today. Shalom.
But who are we in the Bible today? Because when you understand all the people that was in the Bible in times past, their lineage or their bloodline is still on this earth today. Every nation of people that walked in this Bible before are still on this earth today. Right. The only thing is we just don't know who we are in the Bible. Right. Give me Jeremiah 17 and verse 4. And I'm going to show you why we don't understand who we are. And this is for you too, John. Hey, sis, this is for you too as well. All right? What we want to do is show our people their nationality in the scripture. Because it's very important. And I'm going to show you why it's important. That's what I'm looking for, right? Yeah, read.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4.
So now watch what the Lord says about the children of Israel. Because you'll realize once we start to read about the children of Israel in the scriptures, we relate everything dealing with them. Why? Because we are the children of Israel. That's right. And I'm going to prove it to you. Read.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
So God is telling the children of Israel, you will discontinue from the heritage, from the nationality that God gave you. Right. What nation of people on this earth don't know where their homeland is? What nation of people on this earth call themselves after the last name of their slave masters? Right. They don't have a national, they don't have a name that goes back to their people on who they are. It's not the white man. It's not the Chinese man. The Chinese man, they can go back all the way to the 7th dynasty. Right. You understand what I'm saying? But then for us, guess what? We don't know who our homeland is. All we know is to say Africa. But there's so many different places in Africa. Which one? Where are we from? We don't know that. We don't know what our language is. You understand what I'm saying? We don't know what our God is. We worship a God that looks like the people that oppress us. But then why don't we have a God when every other nation on this earth, they have a God that looks like them? Right. The Chinese, they got a God that looks like them. Right. The East Indians, they have a God with 8 arms, but still has the image of looking like them. Right. You understand my point? Read it again.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
So not only did God say we was going to discontinue from the heritage that he gave us, but watch this, read.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
Now he said, after we discontinue from our heritage, he's going to cause us to serve our enemies. When we discontinue from our heritage, who do we serve? Are you critical? It's only historical. It's not like, you know what I mean, when we talk about things, when we put it on the table, we gotta speak truth. Right. Because when you speak truth, that's how things get resolved. That's how issues get fixed. You see what I'm saying? So when we was discontinued from our heritage, who caused us to be discontinued from our heritage? You brother right here. Say it again. You see that? It was easy for him to say it. Why couldn't y'all say that? I know why, but I'm not gonna go into it. Guess what? We have to be proud in ourselves and our heritage and our culture. We have to be proud in our history, because when you realize how special we are and the reason why that history happened to us, you understand why it's very important to understand why things have happened to us or transpired. Because if this would have never happened, we would have never found out how great of a people we are through slavery, through the identity of curses that pertain only to us and no other people. But read it again.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Now, the Lord is saying the only reason why I caused you to discontinue from your heritage and caused you to serve an enemy in a land you knew not, because we didn't know America before we came over here. So that's what that's going into. A land where we knew not. The reason why he said that happened is because we broke the commandments of God and we made God angry. All right, we're going to read about two powerful people in the Bible, because this will help with the identity of who the Israelites look like in the scriptures. Because our whole lives, guess what? We've been taught white supremacy. We've been taught supremacy by other nations. But then when you actually read these scriptures with your eyes, you will see that, guess what? The people in the book don't look like how they describe to you in the churches today.
Right.
That's what I'm saying? Read.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 6. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of the people of my people which are in Egypt.
So God is saying the people that was in Egypt at the time, because remember, God did a great deliverance and he delivered the children of Israel, destroyed the Egyptians for their salvation.
Right.
He understood, even though at a point in time they didn't know who their God was, the Lord still heard the afflictions of our people, and he said, because of them being oppressed and them crying out, I will be the one to save them. And I'll make it known that the Lord God is the one that created or made the salvation happen to them. That's why you look at the Red Sea being split apart, the tornado with fire and all that happened. The Lord wanted to make known that he was the one during this time of oppression to the Israelites, that he was the one that did that deliverance. The same thing is going to happen in these last days. This is spiritual Egypt. And you'll get that understanding as we read on. But jump to verse 20. Yes. All right, keep going to read verse 9 again.
Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me.
So the reason why the cry of the children of Israel came unto the Most High God is because during this time, the Egyptians had the children of Israel in hard bondage. Hold that and get Exodus 1 and 10 to prove it. Exodus chapter 1, verse 11 or 10. Go to verse 10.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest thou multiply and come to pass when they're fallen out any war, they join also unto our enemies.
So what happened here is you have the children of Israel, they started to multiply. Just like in America, why do you think they have the abortion clinics within the hoods, within the community, within our community? It's because we multiply so much, they want to try to find ways to not have us increase like that. That's why they put injections into our different vaccines to make the men sterile. Say it again? Right, exactly. They do all these things because that's the counsel, because America do not want us to multiply to where we can outnumber them, which in actuality, we already outnumbered them.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? But read verse 11.
Verse 11, therefore they did set over them taskmasters.
So the same thing that happened in Egypt before is happening during the time of slavery with us. Our own people were set over us as taskmasters. And what they would do is the Egyptians would give them charge over us to keep us in check. The same thing you would have your coons to lay. You understand what I'm saying? But I just want to bring that quick point. Go to Exodus 4 and 6. So oppression has happened to our people. And because of the oppression, that's why the Lord said, you know what, Moses, I'm going to deliver the children of Israel.
That's right.
And now in these last days, that's the same thing that's going to happen to the 12 tribes of Israel, which we know today as being the blacks and Hispanics. Now watch this. Let's see what Moses looks like in the scriptures.
The book of Exodus, chapter 4 and verse 6. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom.
So this is what I'm going to need y'all attention at. Sister, what's your name, sis?
Nicole.
Nicole, and what's your name, sis? Huh? Neon?
Nia.
Leah.
Nia.
Nia and Nicole. All right, let's see. What's your name? Uriah? Ryan. Ryan. Okay, Ryan, Nicole, and Nia. Got you. So watch this, Nicole, Nia. Watch this. Read it again.
And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand into thy bosom.
So what you about to have here is Moses is about to perform a miracle, because Moses is asking the Lord, how can I prove to these people that the Lord is dealing with? So what the Lord told Moses to do is, imagine I have a garment on, and he told him to put his hand into his bosom, meaning into his chest. So he put his hand into his chest, not like physically, not like literally, but like he put it under his garment to touch his chest, right? Watch this, read.
Put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom.
So he put his hand inside his shirt, read.
And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
So as he took his hand out, now it looked leprous. It looked, well, you know what leprosy looks like? What color is it? It's white. Anybody with leprosy, if you see somebody with leprosy on their hand or their face, it's like white spots that's on their face, right? Now, he's saying the same thing. Moses, the miracle was to take your hand out of your bosom and it's going to turn leprous. And he did that. Read it again.
And the Lord said furthermore to him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
So the reason why I said as snow is because it's describing that his hand turned white. Right. Now watch this, read on. It wouldn't have been a miracle. It would not have been a miracle if he was already white and he took his hand out of his bosom and it turned white. Would that have been a miracle? That would not have been a miracle. You must not hear what I said. Imagine he took his hand out of his bosom and he was already a Caucasian person. He took his hand out of his bosom and it turned white. Would that be a miracle? He's already white. You understand my point? But watch this, it's going to elaborate. Read.
And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So now it's saying once he put it back into his bosom and he pulled it out again, it turned back as his other flesh, meaning it returned to normal again. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Now watch this. I'm going to show you furthermore. Get Genesis 2 and 7 real quick. And then we're going to go to Numbers 12. So what I want to get y'all to do is I want y'all to understand the imagery behind how the people in the Bible look. So as an example, we read about Moses, him taking his hand out of his bosom. Now his hand turned white, leprous as snow, right? And he put his hand back into his bosom and turned his other color. I'm going to show you that, guess what? Moses, as well as everybody since the beginning of time, they had one particular color until the Caucasian race came into the mix when you read in Genesis 25. Now watch this.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 7.
So this is making reference to Adam and the first people that was created on this earth. Read.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
So if Adam and all other people was formed from the dust of the ground, what color would that be if they was formed from the ground? Black. Because whenever soil you go to with a ground, it's black. So that's showing you right here, Adam is a black man. We just read one scripture that shows you characteristics of how Moses was a black man. Now watch Moses' sister Mary in Numbers chapter 12. Start at verse, I think like 10, something like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right there. Number 12 and verse. Yeah, start at verse 9. So what happened here, just to give y'all the history, you had Moses, who the Lord chose to be over Israel, and he was the one that was leading and paving the way, right? You had Miriam and Aaron, which were Moses' family members. They went against Moses. They murmured against him because they didn't want him to be the leader. But the Lord chose Moses to be the leader for the people. So now watch, the Lord is going to get angry because of what Aaron and Miriam did. Sorry, Aaron and Miriam did, the Lord got angry with them. Watch this, read.
The book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 9. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them.
So the Lord got mad at Aaron and Miriam because of them going against the leader he set up, Moses. Read.
And he departed, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous.
So now Miriam got hit with that same plague. Well, she got hit with a plague of judgment for what she did against Moses. Read.
White as snow.
So what color did she turn?
White as snow.
So Miriam turned white as snow. The Lord hit her with leprosy as well. Watch this, read.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam.
So when Aaron looked at his sister Miriam, watch how he described her. Read.
And behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead.
So when Moses looked at her, the Lord, he prayed to the Lord and he said, don't make her look like one who's dead. Imagine if a person died. Like imagine if you see a black person who died. What happens to their skin when it dies? Huh? Is it gay? Right, pale. It starts to get pale and it starts to turn gray, right? It's because of, guess what? The Lord is, Moses is looking at Miriam, his sister, and after the Lord hit Miriam with that plague, she started to look just like that. Her skin started to look pale look like, read on.
Let her not be as one dead.
And she started to look like one who was dead because of that leprosy plague. But I want to go straight to the point. So us as being the 12 tribes of Israel, right? As you can see, we read a couple of scriptures that show key points on how we can look like we were black people in the Bible. But I'm going to just go straight to the precept. Get Jeremiah 14, verse 2. Because when you look at this sign here, you got 12 tribes of Israel today, right? You see Judah, Benjamin, Levi, you got Ephraim, Manasseh. These are all the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
And on this sign, guess what? The Lord has in this Bible documented a description on how they look, according to the Bible. Read this.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. Oh. Judah mourneth.
So Judah is the first tribe you see on the sign, and then that's making reference to the American blacks today. So it says Judah mourning. What does that mean? They're crying out because guess what? They're in captivity. Right. Oppression's happening to them. Right. All of the atrocities are happening to our people, and we're mourning, we're crying out. Right. So Judah is mourning. Read.
And the gates thereof languish.
The reason why it says the gates thereof are languish is because when you look at the black people today, who is our leader? We don't have no leader to actually rise up for our people or to set policies or to be able to set laws for our people. But we are in subjection of another nation of people because we really don't have no leader. We look at someone like Al Sharpton as the leader, but guess what? He's in actuality is cool. Anybody that you can think of as a leader is not really setting a great example for our people. A lot of our people look up to Lil Wayne or Lil Bron, whoever you can think of as a leader, but that's not a leader for our people. That's not someone who's standing up and fighting for the oppression that's happening to our people anytime you see a turmoil happen. You understand what I'm saying? All they do is protest and march. That has, well, since the time of Martin Luther King, none of that has prospered for us. Right. So why are we still doing the same thing today? It's because in reality, our people don't know how to set ourselves from this oppression state. But this Bible gives us the solution to that. So it says Judah is in mourning, and the gates or the leaders are languished. Read.
They are black unto the ground.
So how did God describe the tribe of Judah?
They are black unto the ground.
So the Lord described the tribe of Judah as being black from the ground. So that's another physical description showing you, guess what? In the Bible, the Israelites are documented as black people.
That's
now,
right.
I'm only doing that to relate something to you, to show you that in the Bible, guess what? That's your people, that's your ancestors.
Right.
Just like when you look at this sign here, and you look at that sign over there, if I ask you which one you think is Jesus, which one would you point at? The one over there to the left? And why would you say that? You only say that now because of the scriptures that I read? That's good. It all makes sense. But did you know that the reason why that image looked the way it looked is because it's actually in the Bible too? Watch this, get Revelation 1:14.
Bring it out.
When you understand Christ himself is from the tribe of Judah. And we just read one precept to show you that the tribe of Judah, they're black unto the ground. So if Christ came from the lineage of people who are described as black from the ground, he himself has to be a black man.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Read.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ.
So now it says the revelation or the revealing of Jesus Christ. You're about to get the revealing of how he looks in the Bible. And this is something you can go home and read in your own book. This ain't nothing, it ain't like we just crossed something out and put this here. It's been in our book since the time it's been created. Right. The only thing is the message on how it's being relayed to us, all of this, none of this is never given to us as a people. And that's why we don't understand and look at ourselves as people of high esteem, because we don't see how powerful of a people we are. Or we don't see how special or holy of a people we are.
Right.
Read.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So as we get the revelation of Jesus Christ, you look at the images. One of the in this Bible it says his hairs were white like wool. Which one of these images look like it's woolly hair and it's white? Right. So it's definitely not this one right here. But then yet, for some reason, in a lot of our churches, also too in our grandmother's houses, you have these images, and all around, even next to the bedroom, you have that image right there. But then it just describes you in the Bible that it's white and woolly. What nation of people on earth do they have woolly hair? Hey, if you want proof according to the Bible, guess what? Instead of arguing, it's best just to come over here and ask questions. Because all we're going to do is edify you with the word of God. But if you have rebellious thoughts, guess what? That just means the Bible is not for you. All right, keep going.
As white as snow.
So it says his hair on his head was white, and like wool, and as white as snow. Read.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Now, when you look at these two images, which one shows the eyes being red like a flame of fire? You can come look closer. Which one looks like the eyes of fire, flame of fire? That one right there. Do you know why his eyes look like that? Genesis 49 and verse 12. And sister, one thing I want you to see is everything that I do is coming straight from the Bible. That's your son right there? Okay. Everything that you see me doing is coming straight from the Bible. Why? Because I really want to show you who you are, but we have to destroy all the doctrine that's been indoctrinated into us and understand the truth of this Bible. You understand? Read.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 12. His eyes shall be red with wine.
So why was Christ's eyes red?
His eyes shall be red with wine.
So why was his eyes red? Right, because what was his first miracle?
Jesus had made water into wine.
There you go. Because why?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a drunkard, but he just liked to drink his wine. You know what I'm saying? So when you drink wine moderately, guess what? Your eyes will start to turn red as you drink the wine. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why when John looked at the revelation of Christ, he had woolly hair and his eyes were red because of wine. Read on.
And his eyes were red as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass.
So now it's describing Jesus Christ's feet. Our feet look like the rest of our body, right? It's not gonna, your feet not gonna be white and then your head be dark black. You understand what I'm saying? So it says now his feet, what?
And his feet like unto fine brass.
So Jesus the Christ's foot looked like it was fine brass. It's not done yet, but let me ask you a question. What color is fine brass? Huh? It's like a brown, like a copper color or like a penny, right? So watch this. It says it's like a fine brass, read.
As if they burned in a furnace.
Then imagine you taking that fine brass and then you putting it into a furnace to burn it. When you burn it and you pull it out, what color is it going to be? Huh? I'm asking you, sis. What color is it going to be?
Red.
It's going to be red when you pull it out after burning it? Imagine you put rice into a furnace and you burn it and you pull it out. What color is it going to turn? Right, that's the same thing dealing with any element. When you burn it, it turns black.
That's
so
right.
how does Christ look in the Bible? Right. You understand that? He looks black. So this imagery, that's all a part of the indoctrination of our people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And then as time progresses, guess what? The Lord will reveal truth to his people to let them know that guess what? You are an Israelite.
That's right.
It's just the fact that guess what? Through captivity, through them changing your last name, through oppression, them not allowing you to read this book, you didn't know that. You didn't have the opportunity to understand that historically, you are the greatest thing that ever walked this earth.
That's right.
Now watch this. I'm going to show you something real heavy. Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Yeah.
Because in order for us to be classified as these holy people in this Bible, guess what? There's a stipulation that the Lord made for us. In order for us to be separated and for us to be held to a high esteem based off of every other nation on this earth, we have to conduct ourselves a certain way. And watch what the Lord say, or watch how the Lord describes this in the Bible. Read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Wow.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So God has named the 12 tribes of Israel to be a holy people. What makes us holy? The Lord gave us commandments. He gave us ways to operate that's supposed to separate us from the rest of the nations that's around about us.
That's right.
So during the time when we were delivered out of Egypt, the Lord gave the commandments to us, and then guess what? We were supposed to apply the commandments, and we were supposed to be separated or different from every other nation that's round about us. And I'm going into a point. Read it again.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So, sister, what's your name right here? What's your name? Tatiana. The Lord has created us, the 12 tribes of Israel, and I'm including you when I say us, to be a holy people. He put us above every other nation on the face of this earth. What does that mean? He put us above the Chinese man, he put us above the East Indian, he put us above the white man. But then guess what? We don't know that. Why? Because our oppressors have taught us different. Now we envy our oppressors and we want to look like them. You understand what I'm saying? Now Nia, this one right here is for you. So he made us a holy people, right? Watch one example of the Lord showing us of being a holy people. Read verse 1.
Verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and had cast out many nations before thee.
So as we entered into Jerusalem, wherever the Lord gave us as a place to be able to dwell at, wherever we was at, the Lord says, when you come amongst these nations, read.
Before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites.
So these are examples of nations. You got some Africans here. These are African nations, right? Because we're the Israelites. We're different from the Africans. Remember, in Egypt, the Africans had the children of Israel in slavery.
Right.
We are the children of Israel. Right. There's a complete difference between us and them.
Right.
Read.
Right. And the Amorites.
That's the Chinese. Read.
And the Canaanites.
That's the what you call them, Ethiopians. Read.
And the Perizzites. And the Hivites. And the Jebusites. 7 nations greater and mighty than thou.
So when we are around these nations, what are we supposed to do according to this Bible? Read.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them.
So watch this. The Lord is saying, with other nations being around about us, we're not supposed to make a covenant with them.
Right.
What's the one example of a covenant that a man and a woman can make? Tatiana. What's one example of a covenant that a man and a woman can make? Let's pass it. You want to pass it to a friend? Pass it to a friend. What's one example of a covenant that a man and a woman can make?
Like in a good way, right?
Huh?
Like in a good way, right?
Yeah, the good way. Get married. So marriage is a covenant, right?
That's a good thing.
Now watch this. The Lord is saying right here, when you, the 12 tribes of Israel, are amongst these other nations, the Lord is saying, don't even make a covenant with them. And he's not finished yet. Watch this, read.
Nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Because remember, the Lord is saying, do not marry them, for they will turn you away from following you. And then their customs are based on what they do. But then guess what? In that vanity, a lot of our people, they love Christmas. As soon as Christmas comes around, they got these jingle bell songs in their head. They got that Christianity spirit. They feel good. They just want to give things away. They want to do things out of their kindness of their heart. But then guess what? That has nothing to do with God. That's vanity according to this Bible. The Lord does not want us to worship Christmas. Read. He's about to talk about it right here.
For one, cutting a tree out of the forest.
So one of the main things dealing with Christmas is what? The Christmas
tree.
The Christmas tree. Now watch how Jeremiah is going to be very specific. And this is in the book of Jeremiah during the time of Babylon, which happened like 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago. Read.
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
So it's saying he's going to take this tree and he's going to cut it with an axe. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 4. They deck it with silver and with gold.
They take that tree, they cut it with an axe, and then they decorate it with silver and with gold. What is that going into? There's no other tradition on this earth that even comes close to that, in description-wise. That's talking about Christmas. It's just the fact that, guess what? Through time, as history passed by, they took this tradition and they changed it up to fit the lifestyle of Americans today. But then that was a custom that stemmed all the way from Babylon. Right. Just as time progressed, they dressed it up and they worded it different. They said it was for Christ. Right. But this is just before Christ. You understand what I'm saying? But then them proclaiming to be Christians, when you understand during the time of Constantine, they took this Bible and they mixed it up with paganism, and that's why you have Christmas today.
That's right.
That's why you have these days where they call it holidays when that makes reference to nothing in this Bible.
Right.
So read verse 2 again.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 2.
Yeah.
Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
So that's why he's saying don't learn the ways of the heathen. But then guess what? Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. So one way of learning ways from heathens is by marrying them, by dealing with them as a lover would. You know what I'm saying? That's one way. Another way is through education, through the schooling system. That's another way, through religion, dealing with your churches. Because they have white image of Jesus. They say Paul is white. They say Moses is white. They say all these different people is white. But when you read the Bible, no, they're black people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But then through white supremacy, you start to believe that these people are actually white. And you start to hold them up to a high esteem more than you ought to, because what? They're just men. They're not God.
Right.
And when you look at the reality of it, when God gave you the commandments, he made y'all the greatest thing on this earth.
That's
He
right.
made the men of the children of Israel to look to be God.
Bring it out.
Because why? We're replicating the things that the Most High God does in the heavens. That's the power that we have when we keep the commandments. But when we don't keep the commandments, guess what? That's when these other people are able to reign over us. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
So because of us breaking the commandments, that's why we serving our enemies today. That's why we having to work these 9 to 5 jobs, working minimum wage. But then guess what? We're still in fear for our lives that we might get fired at any day. You working a job where you're getting paid minimum wage, but you're still afraid that you might not hold that job for a long time. That's you being in captivity, and that's you being in subjection to a people who hate you and oppress you. Read it again.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So God sent all these other nations against us. During the sub-Saharan slave trade, the Arabs were sent against us. We was the Moors at that time. That's why a lot of our people we honor, or we look to the Quran to say that's the way of living. But no, the Quran is only a recitation of this Bible.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? All these other religions that's on this earth, and the reason why we do it is because we've been oppressed, and then we only do what our oppressors do. Read.
In hunger.
So we have to serve them for hunger. When you think about going to go get something to eat, Sister Nia, where you go? Nicole, where do y'all go to get something to eat at? If you were hungry right now, where would you go?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. So remember, it says you shall serve your enemies for hunger. You understand what I'm saying? There's no black people that own anything outside of a little small franchise, but ultimately, the black people who don't own, that do own these small little franchises, where do they get their supply from? Where do they get their food from? The white man. You see what I'm saying? Chick-fil-A is owned by the white man. Walmart, white man. McDonald's, white man. Anywhere you can think to get some food, we're getting it by our enemies. That's what the Lord is saying right here. Read.
And in thirst.
So when you're thirsty, just like I'm thirsty right now, guess what? When I go in this cooler here and I get a bottle of water, who owns that? Right, but I'm showing you why. Read.
And in nakedness.
And clothing as well, we have to go to the white man, right? Read.
And in want of all things.
So that's what I was making reference to earlier. Religion, politician, education. We learn all these things from our oppressors, so then that's why we celebrate Christmas. We don't have no conscience towards it. We celebrate Thanksgiving. We have no conscience towards it. When you understand on the historical point, Thanksgiving happened what? About 500 years ago? How long ago? 1,000 years ago? Something like that. But whenever it did happen, guess what? It was the slaughtering of one of the 12 tribes of Israel that you see on this sign. The tribe of Gad, the Native Americans. So we're celebrating Thanksgiving when it's worshiping or celebrating the slaughtering of the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
When it's slaughtering the children of God. You understand what I'm saying? We're celebrating a day where we think it's holy, but it's the slaughtering of our own people.
That's right.
That makes no sense. But because of we being oppressed by people, and then we're learning everything from them when it comes to the education, the way of life, how to live, how to conduct ourselves, how to dress, that's why we celebrate these things and we don't question it. That's why we walk this life and we don't question the things that we're doing, because we think it's okay because our oppressors have taught us this way and this is all we know. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
So then it says, he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Come look at this image real quick. Come look at this image real quick. This one right here, and this one right here. Those are known as yokes of iron. Right. It says, and he, after we're going to serve him for one of all things, then it says, he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Right. That didn't happen to no other nation on this earth outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, right. Outside of the American blacks. Right. You understand what I'm saying? This is in the Bible. This is how we know that we're the 12 tribes of Israel. Right. We read things in the scriptures, this don't fit no one else on this earth. That's why it's evident to understand who we are. Read.
Until he hath destroyed thee.
So the reason why you don't see us walking around with yokes of iron on our neck today is because guess what? We're mentally destroyed. Right. Just like when you take a dog and you put a chain around his neck and then he's limited on where he can go, after a certain point in time, you take the chain off, guess what? He's not going to go farther than what you taught him through that chain. That's the same thing mentally dealing with us. All we know is what they taught us, and we don't go beyond that because guess what? We're mentally destroyed. Right.
Before y'all leave, I just want to make one quick point. Hey, Ryan, I got a question for you. This sister Nia, right? Nia? Nicole. All right. You love Sister Nicole? Is that's like that? Y'all like together, right? Do you want to see her get the kingdom? Do you want to get the kingdom? Now watch this. I'm going to show you something. You got Hebrews 13:4, right? Hebrews 13:4. I'm going to show you something. If you love her and you want her to get the kingdom, and if you want to get to the kingdom, guess what? I'm going to show you in the scriptures things that have to be fixed in order for you to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Watch this, read.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all.
So the scripture says marriage is honorable in all. But when you understand the Lord, the way he deals with marriage is he only wants the 12 tribes of Israel to deal within their own people. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with their own people. So watch this. Read it again.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4.
Bring it up.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
But, read.
But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
So I'm going to let y'all know now that dealing with the relationships that y'all have, according to the Bible, that's adultery. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason being is not because y'all may not be married on papers or anything like that, but it's because guess what? You are of another nation and you of the 12 tribes of Israel. The Lord only wants you to deal with your own people. And he's about to read this in Tobit 4:12. Watch this. So remember, he says, adulterers and whoremongers God will judge. So in order for us to get that good graces dealing with the Lord, and in order to avoid that judgment, we have to do according to the scriptures and avoid that judgment. You understand what I'm saying? Read.
Tobit chapter 4, verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son.
So the scriptures are saying, beware of all whoredom, my son. So this is for you, sis. You got to beware because guess what? In order for you to inherit the kingdom, you got to do whatever these scriptures say do, and you got to avoid all sin. That's that striving for perfection. And one big thing that might be a part of blocking you from the kingdom, guess what? Is a whoremongering relationship. Because why? The Lord does not want you to deal with anybody outside of the nation of Israel. The Lord compares that to a dog dealing with another animal. That's like bestiality in the sight of the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? Because he gave you the oracles for you to follow to separate you from all of the nations. Watch this, read.
Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers.
So the seed of your fathers goes back into the lineage of whoever your father is. Just like your example is your father's a so-called black man, right? So you're only supposed to deal with people of that seed. That's what makes us holy. The Lord does not want us to intermingle or mix. You understand what I'm saying? So then guess what? Read on.
And take not a strange woman to wife.
So of course, when it's referring to a woman, it's talking about man or woman. So you're not supposed to take a strange woman to wife or a strange man to make your husband. A stranger is someone that's outside of the sign that you see here. Once you do that, that's that whoredom to where he says beware of. You understand what I'm saying? So then, Ryan, you love her, right? So what would you do if you wanted her to get the kingdom of heaven?
Basically what you're saying is you shouldn't do for her to be able to do it.
That's right. And that's not what I'm saying.
That's what you recited.
That's what the Bible is saying. I just have to be the one to see the matter, and I have to judge it righteously. Because just like you love that sister, guess what? I have more love for her because guess what? I understand the things that it takes for her to be able to get the kingdom of heaven, for her to receive that salvation. So I relay that message to her that way. The love you might have is emotional. But then with that emotional love, if you did want to see her being able to inherit the promises that was given to her, then what you would do is you allow her to be able to do that. You understand what I'm saying? By you separating yourself from her and allowing her to fulfill her purpose as an Israelite woman in the scriptures. Read.
Which is not of thy father's tribe, for we are the children of the prophet.
Because we are the children of the prophets of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob. That's who we come from. That's our descendants.
Right.
That was who the covenant was given to, and that's who we must deal with.
Right.
Read.
For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they are married wives of their own kindred.
So sis, I understand you might have built up a strong relationship, so forth and so on with this brother here, right? But then the thing is, that will not get you the kingdom of heaven.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.